Joint Committee for Economic Development Tourism will come to order. I want to thank everyone for being here today. We got two presenters, and we're going to start with Christina Davies with the Department of Economic Development to give us some discussions and some talking about private investments, jobs report, and economic impacts. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to be with you today. In the limited time that I have, since I definitely want to save time for your questions, I wanted to cover three topics. First of all, updates on our economic development deal flow pipeline. Second, our updates on the implementation of 2026 West Virginia legislation and some federal programs that are relevant to economic development. And then thirdly, some thoughts on site development. So in terms of recent news, you've heard Governor Morrisey talk about the over $12.8 billion in private sector investments and 12,000 new jobs that have been announced over the last year and a half. This includes, I'm pleased to share, a nice mix of investments in West Virginia's energy generation, which not only is just increasing electricity development that's really key to achieving the goals of the 50 by 50 initiative, which is, of course, not only good for West Virginia residents, but also for our business community. I just want to make sure you all know from our experience, especially over the last 6 months, the 50 by 50 initiative is really the number one business driver in terms of the inquiries that we're getting in the state right now, whether it's from companies directly or from site selection consultants, also from expansions of our West Virginia companies that are currently operating in the state, who also, of course, want to expand here because of the business environment that you all have created. And also, we have certainly a lot of new investors who are also looking at West Virginia because of our attractive fundamentals. So whether it's energy, whether it's fundamentals, it's really, the important elements to continuing to keep our economic development momentum going. In terms of our pipeline of existing deals and the things that we're working to close, the headline is that unfortunately, deal flow has been down across the entire United States for the last year. This is something I've been able to verify with numerous economic development peers across the country. But we are not just resting on our laurels in West Virginia waiting for that deal flow to pick back up. We have 78 active deals in our pipeline right now. 14 of those are expansion opportunities for existing companies, and 64 are new business opportunities, and they're looking at sites all across the state for those. We average, just for your knowledge, around 10 new business opportunities for our vetting every month, of which only 3 make it to all the way to the offer stage. You probably have heard economic development described in thirds and 20s. So a third of the opportunities initially presented actually make it through the vetting, to an offer stage, and then around 15 to 25% actually receive an offer. So how are we working to grow our economic development pipeline, especially given that a project discussion that becomes a deal can take anywhere from 4 to 24 months? It's not, unfortunately, always a quick cycle. And again, the realistic win rate benchmark is 10 to 25%, of which West Virginia has thankfully averaged on the higher end at around 15 to 20% for the last 3 years. How are we going to do that? We have to get out there and tell the incredible story of our state. So let me share a few of those highlights with you. In February, the Division of Economic Development and a number of our statewide economic development partners conducted over 100 meetings with foreign direct investment prospects at the Select USA Trade Show up in Washington, D.C., where we really had a chance to showcase West Virginia's strengths across a host of industry, as well as the robust FDI footprint that our state enjoys. And we're following up on all of those leads to determine what's viable. In May, business attraction representatives from the Division of Economic Development and myself went out to visit with numerous site selection consulting firms throughout the Southeast, talking again about West Virginia's commitment to energy and our investment readiness, building relationships with site consultants who really are the force multipliers of economic development, raising awareness of our state's strengths, that will really help to keep us in mind when they have projects in search of locations going forward. These market visits, as they're known, is really something new that we intend to continue doing in other site selection-rich environments like Atlanta and Chicago to continue to expand the awareness of West Virginia, not just waiting for it to hopefully find us. We brokered around 50 prospect meetings at the recent American Institute of Architects Global Design and Building Materials Expo in San Diego, to which we brought 3 West Virginia companies: East Coast Metals from Ohio County, S.J. Morse from Hampshire County, Multi-Coat Products from Putnam County. And this is really a chance to connect with the building materials industry to prospect for new business opportunities, both domestically as well as finding partnerships for export internationally. We're currently, some of our team are leading an export business mission to Spain and Portugal through the 19th. Just to make sure you understand, this may sound like a lovely place to be in June, but Spain is actually the 8th largest destination for U.S. exports, and Portugal is the 23rd. Both of those countries have an appetite for plastics and mechanical parts for auto, aircraft, and other manufacturing. So actually a really attractive couple of export markets for us. And we have 7 West Virginia companies who are participating in that mission, helping them hopefully find new clients for purchasing of their products in those markets. We will have a presence at the Farnborough Air Show in July, taking at least 2 West Virginia aviation supply chain companies looking for new business opportunities and meeting with a number of potential partners about West Virginia's intentions to grow our aviation and aerospace footprint. And I'm also going to use that occasion to travel to Germany and Ireland on the margins of the air show to thank West Virginia's investors from those countries, as well as to meet with prospects. And I want to thank Delegate Hornby and Sarah Dyer in particular for their introductions and advice on Ireland engagement. Governor Morrisey has also been contributing to this pipeline. He is personally reaching out on a weekly basis to CEOs across the country and around the world to really sell them on the fundamentals of investing in West Virginia. And I would tell you that at least three-fourths of those conversations, the CEO has said that they had to be advised on where exactly West Virginia was on the map. These are definitely net new opportunities for our state, so a great opportunity to hopefully hook them for current and future projects. And I don't think it goes without saying, but I really do want to stress, we so appreciate the efforts of many of you here in the legislature who are collaborative partners, who not just meet and hook, the interest of companies as you go about your travels and about your daily lives, but then are able to work with the Division of Economic Development to allow us to do the engagement on the next steps and the negotiations to hopefully find some of those coming to fruition in the state. As we've discussed before, just to reiterate again, we continue to focus our industrial economic development strategy on industries and sectors that really demonstrate the best compound annual growth rates, or CAGRs, both in the United States and internationally, based on those current and future business demands. So today, just to share with you, these include high-performance materials, such as those produced by the chemical and polymers industry. So we're going to continue to invest to attract those companies. Autonomous and unmanned systems manufacturing. This is a real opportunity in terms of the defense industry to be attracting those companies to West Virginia. Aircraft engine maintenance, repair, and overhaul, commonly known as MRO. We have a huge opportunity as a state there, not just given our heritage in aviation and aerospace, but truly given our location at the intersection of the Midwest, the Southeast, and the Mid-Atlantic. Power electronics components, any type of device or supply chain element that turns energy into electricity. Grid hardware, as we continue to look at how to not just develop the grid, but also optimize it for use of energy transmission. And then computing infrastructure and maintenance, since so much of that feeds into everything I just described, especially from a componentry perspective. Our pipeline, just to reiterate, is much more diverse than this, but I wanted to give you a sense, again, of the really kind of key opportunities we're hunting for in industrial development based on market signals. Making a pivot to the legislative activity that we've been working with a great focus to implement. For SB 1, the Small Business Growth Act, we opened the investor application window on May 26th. And I'm thrilled to report we had 4 investors apply that day, which means they are given priority consideration for sharing the allotment of funds for that program. They are now in the process of being certified and raising capital that they will then deploy as growth capital for West Virginia businesses. Once that happens in early September, they have about 90 days from our confirmation of the receipt of their application. We will be providing proactively contact information for every economic development authority in the state, as well as having the Division of Economic Development in Charleston on speed dial for these investors, so that these firms can really source information and potential investments and have the information ahead of time that might help them make some decisions and help point their way as they look across our state for investments. We'll also be hosting a panel with these investors in September, potentially at the Economic Development Council's fall conference, so that our economic development leaders across the state and the array of influencers in the economic development ecosystem can really hear firsthand what those investors are looking for and to prepare their companies and their regions for that. I've been excited, I have to tell you, by what we've seen so far during the application process in terms of the breadth of growth capital investments that these investors have made across other states with similar programs. Investment may range from as little as $50,000 to as much as $3 million and even more per investment to really help businesses ranging from successful medical services offices to manufacturing firms. And again, kind of the common characteristic is that these companies, these small businesses, are already showing signs of success. It's just that they are now ready for the growth capital that can be hard for a small business to find commercially, so that they can really scale their business to double or triple its size. That's what we really hope the promise of SB1 will be, and really appreciate the legislature's effort to bring that bill to fruition. And of course, for Governor Morrissey's support of that as well. A word on the Federal Opportunity Zone 2.0 program, because we're getting a lot of calls on this right now. I know it's a really important opportunity for folks that want to be included in this program, which has now been made permanent, as some of you may know, but it has a 10-year horizon in terms of kind of once we set the census tracts that will be selected, in terms of how long those census tracts will have to essentially cook before they are looked at again in another 10 years. So opportunity zones, or OZs for short, are federally designated census tracts where private investors can receive significant tax advantages for investing in long-term projects that drive economic and community development. The application to nominate any of the 207 census tracts that the U.S. Department of Treasury has deemed as eligible for the Opportunity Zone 2.0 program is open. It's been live on our Commerce Department website since May the 1st. We had a really well-attended webinar with local economic development entities who have been charged with actually making the nominations for this program. We had a really good webinar with them on May 14th to discuss the nomination process and the program rules. And the application will be open through July 1. After which Governor Morrisey has 90 days to determine which 52 of the 207 tracts, he can only select 25% of our eligible tracts, will be requested for approval by the U.S. Department of Treasury and become those investable tracts in West Virginia for 2.0. We're really pleased, I have to tell you, that one of the modifications from the Opportunity Zone 1.0 program is the requirement that any investor participating in the Opportunity Zone program report to the U.S. Treasury when an investment was driven by the Opportunity Zone program. That will actually allow us to have better data about where we're seeing, hits for the Opportunity Zone program across our state. And that'll give us a better sense of the types of locations and investments that are really, in line with what these investors are looking for. And quite frankly, for the areas that aren't getting as much interest, how we can help to bolster those locations going forward as well. This program is another example, I just want to stress, where we will not just kind of eventually publish our approved census tracts and wish the areas of the state that have been, determined or been included well, but the Division of Economic Development is going to work really proactively with our local economic development partners in these areas to really understand and to aggregate projects that could be of interest to Opportunity Zone investors, which will then help them to actively market to these firms, likely through the federal relationships that we forged at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and Treasury. And I do want to remind and stress that the state doesn't have any influence over how the investments themselves are chosen after the census tracts have been chosen. That will be done really directly between the investors and the business entities across our state in these locations. But we can and we will help to promote our state to these communities, whether they've ever done business in West Virginia or not. And then lastly, on the topic of industrial site development, we're doing a few things in absence of having any direct new funding for the Ready Sites program. We are really aggressively working with the 38 sites that were awarded grants from the program, from the funding that was previously appropriated, to make sure that these projects are progressing and to begin aggressively marketing these sites to potential investors. We're also working hard to evaluate what I kind of refer to as the next ring of investable sites, many of which lack water and sewer access, which is why they didn't qualify for the program which we ran last year. And this is also, of course, why the governor has prioritized investment in water and sewer projects across the state. These investments, when we really focus on infrastructure and kind of advancing from the ground level all the way up to a site being almost turnkey or business ready, of course, also have a double win, not only for economic development, but for the satisfaction of our community members. There are also other programs in the site development kind of vein that will be announced shortly, focused on things ranging from community development and infrastructure and other kind of elements related to industrial site progression. But I don't want to get ahead of the governor, so I'm not going to get into specific details today. But please look for those announcements to come in the weeks and certainly months to come. So there's a lot to do to see this incredible state advance in economic development and to deliver both good jobs and an improved tax base to communities across the Mountain State. And I just want to let you know that our team at the Division of Economic Development and all of our partner agencies at the EDA and Water Development Authority and elsewhere are really eager to continue partnering with you to continue this important work. We know it's important to the state. We know there's a sense of urgency involved in this, and we look forward to working with you in the time ahead on all of this. So thank you very much, and I'd be happy to take your questions.
Thank you for that information, and we're going to open up to the floor to the members. Any questions for Christina?
Thank you, Christine. So just you personally, what do you think our best, I mean, you listed several opportunities for us for economic development, but if you had to pick one thing that you think that we should be focusing on the most right now, if it's more than one, you can say that. But if you had to be forced to pick one thing, you're like, you guys really needed, this is your best opportunity as of today for short-term gain, what would that be?
I think I would go with advanced manufacturing delegate. The good news in my answer is that covers a whole host of things, right? But when you really look at the heritage of West Virginia, our manufacturing prowess and our success, that continues to be, I think, probably among the number one, really the number one area that we get a lot of interest in, and that we think with 50 by 50 and our other strengths, we can continue to promote. But I would hate to put all of our eggs in one basket, which is why I tried to outline at least the 6 that we really think we have a strong opportunity to advance. Of course. And the good news is too, I think that particular focus has a lot of play across our counties. So.
Okay. Other questions?
Sir, in the current budget year, 2025-26, the governor vetoed $30 million for water and sewer projects. And now you mentioned now that he's all of a sudden enthusiastic about water and sewer. Why did he veto $30 million last year in the current budget?
I don't know, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure of those specific projects, if they had a reason for being vetoed.
It was just general. It was
$2
general
million
money to go to the
in
Water
water and
Development
sewer.
Authority. So
sorry, sir?
I said it was general dollars in the back of the budget to go to the Water Development Authority that evidently he didn't care for. And now the other thing I want to ask for is what is the opinion of Steve Roberts's interview with West Virginia Watch and the statistical numbers that he related through the federal Department of Labor that we are actually losing jobs now and our payroll is going down.
I think I can speak to my view of that, which is that I think Mr. Roberts is looking at backward-looking data, which anybody would do because none of the data provided by the federal government gives you a today snapshot, and unfortunately is making, determinations about the impact of the last 12 months on things that have taken years and decades to actually develop to get us to this point. All that I know how to do as an economic developer is to work to plant seeds every day that will yield to the type of fruit and abundance that we want to see in the state. So I hope that Mr. Roberts shares that we're all in this together to try and make that happen.
Other questions?
Unfortunately, Mr. Chairman, I think they all know I'm on speed dial for them, so I'll probably get some follow-ups after this meeting, which is just fine.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, next we have Cabinet Secretary Chelsea Ruby. She's going to come and give us an update on operations and report upon major upcoming events.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the members of the committee for being here. I know that some folks are trying to hit the road, so I appreciate all of you staying. Appreciate the time that you're spending here in the state parks. I always think it's helpful when these interim meetings move around and it gives you all the opportunity to see some of the great work that our state parks are doing and to really get to know these tourism communities. So again, thank you. So today I want to just go through a tourism overview, more looking at our process and what we as the department are wanting to do. So I know a number of you in regular session hear me give presentations where I go really quickly through a bunch of statistics and all the metrics and how we're doing. But today, if you all don't mind, I'm going to take a little bit of a step back and look at what the department is doing overall through all of our different divisions and kind of the overall process and what our focus is. So if you'll indulge me, I'm going to ask the members of the committee a question. Can I do that? Okay, not there. Okay, so what do you all think about when you see these two words, just black and white, West Virginia? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Okay, country roads. Come on, guys. Moonshine. Anything else? Coal. Mountain State. All right. Okay, so at the Department of Tourism, our entire department wakes up every day thinking about these two words. What we try to do through all of our different divisions is change the way people think about these words. So in everything that we're doing, whether it's working with libraries, whether it's working with the arts office, historic preservation, the tourism marketing folks, we're trying to change the way people are thinking about West Virginia. So the first way that we do it is we look at storytelling through advertising. Well, that is not ideal. So maybe we're not connected to the internet. Well, I'll send these video links afterwards. They were working before, but what I wanted to do is run through some of these ads and let me see if any of them will work. Is it showing? It was working before. We'll give it a second, and if it doesn't work, then I'll do something else, but I will not sing. Okay, so while he's working on that, what I'll say is that when we do marketing, so a lot of states, when I talk to my peers in other states, a lot of states only do advertising outside of their own states. So there are some legislatures who have put provisions on this, and I think this is a bad idea, by the way, where they've said that we only market to outside of our own state. But in West Virginia, we actually market in-state as well. So I know you all are very familiar with the ads that we run in-state, but what I wanted to do today is show you some of these other ads that we're running out of state. The messaging differs slightly, and some of these are ones that you probably have not seen before. All right, we'll keep going. We'll send these out. Okay, so we just ran a TV ad and it actually just won a big national award. And what the TV ad does is it starts out and it says, imagine a place where it's very quiet and the TV screen actually goes black. So it's completely black for 20 seconds. It tells them to close their eyes and imagine, and then it opens back up and you see West Virginia. And when we first started doing this ad, I was very nervous about it. When our agency brought it to us, I said, you're telling me that you want us to pay for 20 seconds of empty airtime? And they said, yes, it'll get people's attention. It's something that people don't do very often, is just make the screen go completely black. So I'll send this link out to the committee afterwards, but it does just that. And we won a big national award for it. It also had great rates of video completion on all of our ads because people wanted to stay and figure out, like, is this broken? What's happening? It's very quiet. You hear these nature noises. But the reason that we're running those types of ads is because what we continue to see is that in the major metropolitan areas around West Virginia where we're marketing, people still want those same things that they've been wanting for a number of years. They want to escape big crowds. They want outdoor recreation. They want wide open places, and they want small mountain towns. Those are things that we have in each of our 55 counties. And so those are the things that we're really highlighting in these ads. So you can see this one. This one's just a photo. So this is just a print ad. Again, everything that we're doing right now, whether in state or out of state, is tying back to country roads and that research that we do each year to make sure that that's still resonating really well. There was a YouTube video yesterday that was also on TikTok that got over 30 million views of a World Cup soccer game. And afterwards, they sang Country Roads. You've been seeing it with the Mountaineer baseball team. This continues to resonate. We're getting a ton of free media off of other people doing those sing-alongs. We're doing them through sports sponsorships with the Washington Nationals and the Washington Commanders. We continue to see great success with that, but you see it in everything we're doing. So the second thing is our social media. So if you look between our three different channels that we're running, our three brands, arts, culture, and history, which we now call arts and heritage, state parks and tourism, we have over 1 million followers combined between these. And we continue using the hashtag almost heaven. And here are some videos that you can't see. Again, I'm sorry. It worked when I practiced a few minutes ago. Okay, so we're not just focusing on marketing and advertising. We're also thinking about how do we grow the industry. So we're thinking about how do we change the way people think about West Virginia? How do we keep providing those experiences? And the thing that keeps me up at night is workforce. So you all have seen the numbers and you're familiar that we're one of the fastest growing tourism states in America. But you might also remember from my finance committee presentations that while our workforce is growing, it's not keeping up with the same rate of growth that our visitation is. So this is something that we have been working on. The governor has been really committed to letting us continue with these efforts and make sure that we're rolling out new things. So the last couple of years, we've been working on a new program called Tourism Works. So just over a year ago, the governor announced this new online training program. It's an online program that was developed with Blue Ridge Community and Technical College. There are 12 modules that folks can take for free. You get a free hour of college credit if you complete the whole thing. And you get this cute little t-shirt that says, "Ask me, I'm a local." You get a button. We also do signage for companies that have all their employees take it. And through this program, in just over a year, we have issued 24,000 micro-credentials. And we haven't put paid advertising behind that until very recently. That's really just how many people in this industry and students across the state are interested in learning more about tourism. So I highly recommend this program. No matter what industry you're in, it's really just about how to be a good ambassador in your own state. It was born out of an idea years ago. I was at a gas station in the New River Gorge, and I had gone inside to pay because the credit card machine wasn't working. And when I went inside to pay, there was a couple in front of me, and they were asking the person at the cashier, where's a good place to have breakfast? It was early in the morning. And the person behind the desk said, Nowhere. Nothing good around here. Try McDonald's. And the couple just kind of turned around and walked out. And I stopped them and said, oh, actually, there's this restaurant and this restaurant around here. And it occurred to me in that moment, not all of our communities in West Virginia are used to having visitors. So if you go to big cities, you go to certain places, you think about how many visitors they get and how used to that experience that they are. People are used to being asked for directions. They're asked where to go, where to eat, etc. And so we realized in that moment we need training not only for folks in the hospitality industry, but also for just West Virginians who are starting to welcome these folks into their communities. A big focus of this initiative has been actually working with the K-12 system and getting this before high school students. So particularly in 8th grade when they're looking at career exploration and letting them know that there are great opportunities here in West Virginia for jobs in the hospitality industry. So again, really, really appreciative of the support that we've continued to get for this program and think that workforce development needs to continue to be key to our tourism efforts. So another thing that we're doing, and this goes into the larger look at the tourism economy, trying to get more people to come here, trying to get West Virginians to travel around the state. And as I talked about this morning in the other committee, trying to translate those visitors to residents, trying to get folks who actually come here to visit to move here. So we're looking at community development, making sure that our communities are places where people want to do all of those things. So as you all know, we've got the tourism tax credits, we've got the historic preservation tax credits, we've got grants for arts projects and arts infrastructure. We've got grants for libraries. So now when we're meeting with communities, we're not just talking to them about tourism marketing. We're talking about all of these other things. We're talking about putting brochures into the libraries. We're talking about historic preservation and looking at buildings that could be repurposed in downtowns, et cetera. So it's been great over the last 12 months to figure out how to combine those things and how to actually present them to communities in a way that's meaningful. One good example of this was recently with the America's 250 initiative. We were able to partner the tourism marketing team and the state arts office with the nation's first statewide mural plan. So we offered each county in West Virginia $5,000 to do a community mural on a historic building or some sort of structure to put up something that commemorates their community's history or America's history. So we're really excited. Those are rolling out. We have one in almost every community, but it's been a great way to bring these things together. And once we have all 55 done, then we'll launch a trail similar to the Waterfall Trail or some of the other trails that we've done that will really get folks moving around the state. Investment continues to grow. So I mentioned historic preservation and tourism tax credits. Here's some of the tax credits that we've seen. And I show this because I want you all to understand that we're not just seeing the investment that the state's doing with state dollars. We're also seeing, as tourism numbers have continued to rise, we're seeing continued investment from private partners. So here's a number of the projects that were approved for tax credits last year. These are approved by the Department of Economic Development. We've already gotten a couple more in this year. I know we just approved one from the Great American Bungee Company in Harpers Ferry. If you haven't seen that, it's a great bungee experience over a rock quarry. It's very, very neat, very unique. It's getting a lot of attention. It's our top performing social media video right now. And then we've got 2 other applications that are pending and review I expect will be approved here soon. So we're also looking to define our story. So when we think about how to change the way people think about West Virginia, sometimes that's telling people who we are. We used to be that we would see these big travel lists come out and we would dream of being on them. And now we are very competitive and on many of these. So the most recent one, you probably saw the announcement with the governor about 6 weeks ago. We were rated the #1 underrated travel destination in the world by US News and World Report. So this is a huge designation. People make travel decisions based on this. It's also, if you think about it being layered in with our advertising, you think about somebody in a big market, DC or Pittsburgh, they're seeing our ads and then they start seeing this. And it really, over time, it really builds and it really changes the way people think about West Virginia. So it's not just this one. Here's a couple of other ones that we've gotten recently. We pitch media all over the world. And we use destinations all over the state. So it's not like we just pitched the New River Gorge. We're pitching a number of different places And we are always looking for new ideas of unique stories to pitch. So just wanted to point this out. It used to be that we would spend a lot of time emailing out press releases to writers around the country. Now what we do is we do still send press releases, but we send invitations. We send invitations to come to West Virginia and to experience it for themselves. And what we see there is we get longer, better editorials, and we start making a lot of these lists. So there's a couple we still haven't gotten. I'm pretty competitive, so we're going to stay after it until we get those. But really excited to see this. And again, I truly believe this is changing the way that people are thinking about West Virginia. For communities that say, I don't know what my pitch idea is. I don't know what you should be saying about my county or the county next to me. What should we be telling media about? I always tell them to look at these different trails to try to figure out, what is this story? What's unique about something in your area? So one that continues to be the gift that keeps on giving is the Waterfall Trail. So we have seen over 150,000 check-ins on the Waterfall Trail now. I know some of you don't have waterfalls in your districts, so that's unfortunate, but that's not the only thing. We try to think of different things. I can't create waterfalls, unfortunately, but we can put the swings in. And the swings, again, are something that's continued to garner a lot of interest. We almost have one in every county. So if anybody here doesn't have one in one of their counties in their district, please let me know. The students in Nicholas County are still creating these swings and installing each and every one of them, and we would love to get one to your area. So what does all this mean? So we're doing a number of different things. We're doing the marketing, we're doing the storytelling, we're trying to help our communities grow. We're trying to do all of these different things to change the way that we think about ourselves and the way that people on the outside are thinking about West Virginia. And I'm here to tell you that your investments are paying off. So just top line numbers here. And some of you have seen these numbers before, but each and every year now we are seeing over 9 billion with a B in total economic impact from tourism in our state. That 9 billion comes from 6.6 billion direct spending. So the multiplier effect of that, if we take it all the way out, is 6.6, and that's by going in and doing research in each county based on taxes collected and amounts spent. That 6.6 generates 1.1 billion in tax revenue that's generated across our 55 counties, and it's supporting 1 in 15 jobs in the state. So again, I like to look at where we're going and where we've been, because I think that each and every year when we come to you and ask you for money and then come back, I think it's important to show that this is still paying off, that we are still growing. We have not plateaued, and these investments continue to really matter. So if you look at this chart here, you see the years where I think West Virginia was really underfunded. We weren't competitive with the region around us. But then you see in 17, when the legislature tripled the amount of money that was going into the tourism marketing budget, you see a straight increase up. You see the dip down for COVID, which our dip is a lot smaller than most folks, and then it continues to go up. And if you think about these numbers and you think about where we are today compared to 2019 before COVID, if you take today's numbers versus 2019, we are up 28%. If you look at the United States' numbers as a whole, and you look at where the US is today compared to 2019, the US is only up 12%. So I always like to show that to say that not only are we growing, but we really and truly are far outpacing the national rate of growth. So a couple things for this year so far. You know, it takes a little bit for me to get all the county data and get the numbers in, but wanted to just let you know what we're seeing so far this year. First, I'll say for our winter season, we had one of the longest ski seasons on record for West Virginia. The substantial investments that we've seen in snowmaking in our state from private partners in the last several years are really paying off, and we're seeing that they're able to be open much longer. Spring was really strong. Summer is off to a good start. I will say that the Memorial Day weekend that was so rainy was a little bit down over the previous year, but since then we've seen that pick back up. That was primarily impacted from camping and folks who canceled reservations at the last minute when they realized that it was going to be a rainy weekend. We continue to see hotel occupancy average daily rates, and those occupancy rates are both growing year over year. So we still see, despite what you're seeing in the news nationally about gas prices driving some of these numbers down, in West Virginia at a statewide level, we still are seeing slight increases over the previous year. Our short-term rentals, they continue to soar. We see increases in that each and every month and nearly in every single county. And then state parks revenue is up nearly $2 million so far in this calendar year. But we don't just see the numbers in occupancy and average daily rates. I still think that the future is going to be bright, just looking at the interest benchmark. So each and every month we're looking at, how much are people spending and where, but we're also looking at, for future growth, how much interest are we seeing? Are we seeing people planning fall trips? Are we seeing them plan winter trips? One of the best indicators of this is our vacation guides that we send out to folks. People come to our website, wvtourism.com. You request them, we mail them to you for free. And this year we've had over 200,000 requests. And this is a huge increase, over 100% over where we were last year. We've already reordered. So really excited to continue to see more interest on our social media channels, on our website, and in people who are actually requesting direct information. So if I go back to these two words, what do you all think of when you see West Virginia? Underrated? Work in progress. I like that. Destination. Money. I like that one. But really want you to know that at the Department of Tourism, no matter which one of our divisions you're looking at, in this year that we've had to combine them all together and to really start getting them to start functioning together, want you to know that this is what we stay focused on. At the end of the day, we're staying focused on how to change the way people think about us and also how to change the way that we think about ourselves. We often don't think about what a great place we are to live. And we are very blessed to be here. So thank you all for your continued support. I'm going to show you what I hope. And that one's not going to work either. We'll send it to you. Raise your hand, please, if you have seen our new commercial. It's a sing-along, country roads, people singing in different places. A couple of you. Okay, we'll get the video out. Again, I'm sorry, videos worked before, but we'll send them out so everyone can see them. But again, thank you all for your support, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. That was an excellent presentation. So, questions? Yep.
And I will work on internet here at our state park.
When we met in Pipestem, we talked about continuing upgrades to the state park lodges and so on. Where are we on upgrades now?
I can get you an exact list of where those projects are. They're all continuing. A couple that I know are coming near completion. The campground at Cass, the campground at Lost River, the Hawks Nest Tram. So there's a number of projects that are reaching completion, and then there's a good number that have already been completed. But all of them are moving. I'll also mention the bike trails at Cookhaven. So folks are, all of these things are still moving. Some of them, as you know, get delayed for materials or other reasons, but no major hiccups that I know of. Everything seems to be moving right along.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
While not on the direct topic, while we have you here, I'll take advantage. Where are we on the Culture Center and how are those projects coming along?
Yep. So kind of two tracks of projects at the Culture Center. So I'm looking at those immediate needs, and then we're also looking at the total renovation. So on the immediate needs part, the biggest and most urgent need is the roof. So the design has been done on that roof. It was recently approved by the Capitol Building Commission, and it is getting ready to go out to bid. The funds were appropriated to us year before last and reappropriated, so that's ready to go when those bids come back in. Another thing on the urgent list would be the window film. So you all know that we've got those window stabilization issues there where we've got the foundational issues and risk of some shattering of that glass. So I believe today the contractor was on site and is getting ready to start that project of putting a film in to protect those windows for the interim until we get the full renovation plan moving. I'll also note, if you've been to the Culture Center recently, you probably noticed the elevators have not been working. So elevator paperwork was signed on Friday to get those up and going again until we're able to replace them. So those are kind of our immediate issues. We're also working on putting together some specs for some electrical work. You probably remember from the tour, that's kind of the most urgent behind the roof that needs to be addressed. So that work will be coming out of the money that you all appropriated for immediate issues this summer. Past that, we're looking at the total renovation plans. Have been working really closely with the consulting firm who's helping us with that, looking at the building as a whole and the different uses of that building, how to get the most out of the funding that we have and how to, really reduce that plan down. So we're working on that. In the coming weeks, I'll be meeting with the governor to fine tune that and come back to you all with a full plan.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. These guys took both of my questions, so I'm just going to take a brief second and thank you for your hard work. Thank you for the investment in my district specifically in the entire state. Really appreciate all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you for being here. And this is not a question, but I just want to commend you on continuing to promote West Virginia inside West Virginia.
Thank you.
West Virginians spend millions of dollars on tourism and mostly outside of the state. And the fact that you didn't follow the other states and you continue to promote inside our state, I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I will say, I don't want to take credit for that. That was something that had been done in West Virginia for years. And as we've seen increased growth there, we've increased the investment as the budget allows. It continues to pay off. When we look at our different markets, West Virginia is West Virginia's largest market, meaning West Virginians are traveling around the state at a really high rate. During the pandemic, we saw great increases in how much West Virginians were traveling. I think when we were having to cancel Disney and Myrtle Beach vacations, folks were finding new places they could go in state. And I worried a lot at that time. And you probably remember me saying, I hope this keeps up, our in-state visitation might drop. That's actually when we launched the Waterfall Trail as an initiative to keep West Virginians traveling. But what we've seen is since the pandemic, West Virginians are traveling more in their own home state. So we appreciate you all allowing us to continue that advertising. I think we'll keep going with it. And hopefully this trajectory continues of West Virginians exploring more.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
I was very excited for you all to see the out-of-state videos. So I will really send them around. And if you all get a chance, I'd love for you to take a look. Thank you.
Any other business for the committee? Look to the co-chair. We are adjourned.